In the quiet town of Enugu, there was a family that everyone admired, Mr. and Mrs. Okori. They were kind and hard-working parents, raising their children with love and discipline. The community was especially fond of their children, Ada and Keeny. Ada was a joyful girl whose smile could brighten even the gloomiest days. Keeny, her younger brother, followed her everywhere like her shadow. If Ada laughed, Keeny laughed too. If she cried, he wiped her tears. They were inseparable. One afternoon, Keeny hurried into Ada's room with excitement in his eyes. "Look what I have," he exclaimed, holding up a shiny new smartphone that their father had just bought for him. He had taken it to school that day, and some older boys had shown him how to access strange websites meant for adults. "What is it?" Ada asked, curiosity lighting up her face. Keen climbed onto her bed and opened the phone, showing her a video. The screen was filled with strange images of adults doing things neither of them understood. Ada frowned. "What are they doing?" she asked. "I don't know," Keeny laughed, "but it's funny. It makes me feel good." At first it was just curiosity, like discovering a strange animal in the wild. They didn't understand what they were watching, but they couldn't look away. Every afternoon when their parents were out, they sat together staring at the screen. Laughter, whispers, and strange emoji tengjin. The room. Each video sparked something new inside them, a mix of confusion, curiosity, and a feeling they couldn't explain. One sunny afternoon, Keen turned to Ada and whispered, "Let's try what they're doing." The more they watched, the deeper their bond became. It was their little secret, something only the two of them shared. Ada's heart raced as she whispered, "What if Mama finds out?" Keen smiled. "It's just you and me." Ada hesitated, asking many questions, but she trusted Keen. Slowly, she agreed, thinking it was just another game. That first day they giggled and teased each other, stopping whenever they got too nervous. But after that, they couldn't stop. Every afternoon when their parents were away, they continued. Eventually, they even started at night, right in their shared room. "It hurts," Ada would whisper. But Keen, already caught up in the moment, would cover her mouth so she wouldn't make a sound. Mr. and Mrs. Okori slept peacefully in their own room, unaware of what was happening just a few feet away. They believed their children were sleeping soundly, just as they were. Little did they know Ada and Keen were not resting but were caught in something they no longer knew how to escape. As the years passed, their secret only deepened. By the time Ada was 14 and Keen was 12, it was no longer a game, but something they couldn't stop. At night, Ada would stare at the ceiling, guilt weighing on her. "Keeny," she whispered one night, "do you think this is wrong?" Keen was silent for a long time before replying, "It's just us, Ada. Nobody else will know." The once innocent bond between them had become a heavy chain they couldn't break. Their home, once a safe haven, now felt like a prison. Years passed. Ada blossomed into a beautiful 18-year-old, and Keena, now 16, had grown taller and more confident. But their secret remained. One evening, as they had seen in the videos, Keen whispered, "I think we should use protection. It's safer." Ada's eyes widened. "What if someone sees you buying it?" "Don't worry, I'll be careful," Keena reassured her. The next day, with a racing heart, he walked into a pharmacy. The pharmacist barely looked at him as she handed over a small box. Keen tucked it into his pocket, relieved. But as he entered the living room, he didn't notice when it slipped out and fell to the floor. Mr. Okori's booming voice startled him. "What is this?" Keen's heart pounded. "It's for a school experiment," he stammered. Mr. Okori scowled but said nothing more. Be careful what you bring into this house. Until one day, Ada started feeling sick. She threw up, felt dizzy, and one evening, tears streamed down her face as she whispered, I think I'm pregnant. Panic set in. Keene, trying to stay calm, said, We'll fix this. They gathered their savings and went to a local clinic. There they lied to a nurse, claiming they needed abortion pills for a school experiment. The nurse hesitated, but eventually handed over the pills, warning them to be careful. Back home, Ada sobbed as she took the medication, her body trembling with fear and guilt. Keene held her hand. No one will ever know, he whispered, though his voice shook with doubt. But it didn't stop there. Each time Ada found herself in the same situation, they repeated the process, visiting different clinics, making up different lies. Over time, the repeated abortions began to take a toll on Ada's body. Years passed, and it was time for Ada to marry. She met Chijioke, a kind and wealthy man who treated her like a queen. When he proposed with a diamond ring, Ada saw it as her way out of the darkness. After their wedding, she ended things with Kene. We can't do this anymore, she said, avoiding his gaze. Keene was devastated. You can't leave me like this. I have to, Ada muttered. This is my chance to start over. 3 years into her marriage, Ada still wasn't pregnant. Chijioke remained patient, but whispers began. Her parents prayed, fasted, and even sought a prophet for help, but nothing worked. One day, Chijioke suggested seeing a doctor. After many tests, the doctor finally delivered the crushing news. Your womb has been severely damaged from repeated abortions. You may never conceive. Ada's heart shattered. Tears streamed down her face. That night, Chijioke confronted her. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Her parents, sensing something was wrong, joined the conversation. The pressure was too much. Finally, Ada broke down. Keene and we started when we were young, she confessed. Her mother's wail filled the room. Oh my God, my children! Her father sat frozen, his face drained of color. Chijioke stared at Ada, shock and betrayal in his eyes. I thought I knew you. Then Mr. Okori cleared his throat. His voice trembled. I knew this would happen from the day Keene was born. Everyone turned to him, confused. Keene isn't your real brother, he admitted. We adopted him as a baby because we couldn't have more children. Silence fell. Ada's breath caught in her throat. Why didn't you tell us? Keene, who had remained silent, stood abruptly and walked out. Keene, wait! Ada called, but he didn't stop. The door slammed shut behind him. Days passed in sorrow. Chijioke, unable to forgive the secrets, left. Keene disappeared. Alone and childless, Ada was haunted by her past. Her body, weakened by years of abortion, reminded her daily of what she had lost. The Okori family, once admired, had been torn apart by secrets.